We acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land and pay our respects to elders past, present, and emerging. Nagambi, Gwegunguli Ngurunungnai. Welcome, this is Gwegul People's Country.
Well, I've just been on the rocks, looking to see if we can find some natural resources that we utilise from the ocean. And I've actually found a good number of shellfish here that I can actually talk to you about. So the first one I'd like to talk to you about is this one here. This one is a real delicacy for Dharawal people. We call that one a bimbler. And what makes this shellfish particularly special is that it has blood in it. So it's a very delicious shellfish, but it's also good for bait as well. So when we want to go fishing, this is the main shellfish that we go for. This one here, that's an oyster. The oysters around here in Dharawal country, they vary in size. So if you was to go around to Tower Point, you would find very huge oyster shells. But these types of shells here are the ones you find a little bit more closely to Kurnell. This particular oyster here, which we call a bither, you can find on the rocks. This one here, that's another type of shellfish. With all the Aboriginal middens you find in Dharawal country, you usually find these sorts of shells inside of them. So shell middens are like books for us. When we look into those middens, they tell us what our old people used to eat. If some shell middens are thousands of years old and these shells are in them, then that tells us that our people consumed this type of shellfish 3,000 years ago. We have another shellfish here, it's called a mussel. They're very common around here. You can find them in the rock pools or where the mangroves are. They're another delicacy for us. Another real delicacy for us is what we call a conch. As you can see, there's different sizes here. So that's a small one, a medium-sized one, and that's quite a large one. We have a scallop shell here. Scallops aren't usually found on the rocks, but they can be found on the sand, just not far from where the rocks are as well. This one here is a real delicacy for us. It's our number one favourite food. It's called an abalone. We call that a mutton fish because of its taste, and it's a very staple seafood for the Dharawal people. We usually got to catch those on a low tide, so when the tide goes out, we like to look along the edges of the rock platform to find these. Here we have what we call a kanji boy, and kanji boy, when they're on the rocks, they usually squirt up water on their own, or if you tread on them by accident, they can squirt up water. You can also eat these as well, but we usually like to use those for bait, mainly. This one here, a lot of people are aware of this one, it's called a pennywinkle. You find hundreds of them on rock platforms like this. You need to gather quite a number of them to be able to get a decent meal from them. So that was also a staple diet for us as well. There's lots of different kinds of crabs you find in the rock pools along the platforms here. We call crab garriga, and they're a major source of food for us as well. What I'd also like to talk about is the sorts of fish that you get along the rock platforms as well. The main fish that we like to catch from the rocks are wallamai, that's snapper. So you can get them when the big southerly winds are blowing. So the snapper, which is quite a big fish, they like to come around and find shelter in here when there's a big southerly blowing, so you can actually catch them in the bay here or off the points. We have leather jacket fish, which we call gark. and you can catch luderick as well in the rock pools or just off the rock platforms here as well. We call them jaroons. Now, I mentioned earlier about a shell midden, so why don't we go and look at a shell midden? So here we are at the midden I spoke about earlier. It's a very important place for us. As you can see, there are lots of shellfish here, and these shellfish are a record of what Dharawal people collected over many thousands of years and consumed as food. These shell middens are just like books to us. They're books with many pages and many chapters to it. In this particular shell midden are the shells that I spoke about to you earlier on. I'd like to finish now by thanking you all for going on this journey with me. I really enjoyed teaching you, and I look forward to seeing you another time.